Hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is a new episode of The World Today. We are going to discuss many headlines published on national and also international websites, and we are going to focus on our regional arena. But first, let me welcome our dear guest live here in the studio, Mr. Ayoub Mahmoud Ayoub, member of the Egyptian Council for Economic Affairs and former Minister Commercial. Thank you very much for being with us, sir.
Good evening to you and to the viewers.
And we are going to start immediately, if you permit me, as we do have, as usual, plenty of headlines. And we are going to start from Al-Ahram Online, where we read, Egypt's El-Sisi celebrates start of harvest in first phase of 1.5 million fathom projects. Egypt President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi celebrated on Thursday the harvest of 10,000 wheat fathoms in the southwestern of Al-Wadi al-Jadid, or the New Valley Governorate, as part of the national project to expand the country's farmland by reclaiming 1.5 million fathoms nationwide, which was inaugurated in late December. Sir, Egypt was celebrating. In fact, it's not only President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi or the cabinet or whoever.
Yes.
Egypt was celebrating that. How do you see the timing? I mean, the essay or the article is saying that it started in December.
Yep.
And less than 5 months,
yes.
We are in the first phase of harvest. How do you see this?
This means that what the president is saying, he is actually doing. Those pessimist circles or persons or quarters should come to realize that Egypt is on the right track and we are doing our business, although we are not making a lot of media about it, media coverage about it. At least now we are seeing what has been said is actually done.
On the ground.
On the ground.
Yes.
We see it. And this gives a message to those who are always skeptical about everything. They should come to realize that Egypt is on the right track,
yes,
economically, and this is the most important thing from my point of view. We are on the right track and we are beginning land reclamation, better use of the limited, always limited of course, water resources, and most importantly, the food security. Wheat, barley, and fava beans.
Wheat is bread.
It is bread.
It's bread.
It is the main and staple food in Egypt. So I will say, the supply side of our needs of staple food is now almost secured. Usually imported about 6 million tons of wheat every year. Mostly it was from Australia when I was there.
Yeah.
Now we are not any more that importer of big quantities of wheat. We will continue wheat importers. Yes, we will continue.
But we do have alternatives, sir. We do have Russia and Ukraine in specific. I think it was the very first visit by an Egyptian president to Ukraine in decades, or something like that. But whenever it comes to Ukrainian wheat, it became one of the alternatives. So diversifying our resources is another issue.
Yes.
But let me focus on this celebration and on the visit of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, or giving the sign or the launch of the harvest. Egyptians are living in I'm not going to say political turmoil or disputes, but ups and downs, let's say.
Yes, it is like that.
And in some cases, we can find special, I said, class or sect having some problems in a way. When I was asking you about the timing and about the messages to be delivered by President el-Sisi's visit to Al-Wadi al-Jadid or the Al-Farafra, the valley. I mean, in specific, isn't it saying that, as you've kindly mentioned, Egypt is on the right track, even if there are on the ground some disputes, some differences, or even some who are protesting against the actions of a state entity or the other?
Yep. Some people will criticize anything and everything they find.
Yeah.
Because they are not in charge.
Yes.
If you put them in charge, they will not be able to do the job. This is a fact
This
of
is
life.
number one.
This is number one.
Yeah.
Number two, what has been done on the ground conveys a message to the people. Please, unite, and one block we can achieve all our goals. But if some quarters, some pessimists, or some self-interest groups try to derail the wagon, it will not be derailed. Why?
And
the majority is
majority.
It is as simple as that.
And simply, if you permit me to say so.
Yes, please.
We are a state of law. So law is prevailing.
Yep.
And this is something which cannot be discussed. This is number one. Number two, put your differences aside for a while and focus on, at least for a while, and focus on the positive things happening on the ground, because we are witnessing positive things on the ground. Last but not least, this 1.5 million fadans project. Going to Al-Ahram Online once again, where we read Egypt's FM Shukri discusses Syria's ceasefire efforts with Russia's Lavrov, his counterpart, of course. Egypt's foreign minister Sameh Shukri discussed in a telephone call with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov the latest developments in Syria, including ongoing ceasefire efforts, along with other regional developments, and these were the statements said or announced by Egyptian Foreign Ministry. Sir, Egypt's fate to be a major or a key player in the region. I mean, not only in the Middle East,
yes,
in the whole world, and in the region.
In our region, yes.
Sir, it was the 1st of May when Egypt started a whole month of presiding over the meetings of the Security Council.
Yeah, that's correct.
So this is to add to the heavy weight of Egypt regionally.
Yes.
But Syria it's not a crisis anymore, it's a catastrophe or a disaster. How do you see the end of the story? If there is some light by the end of the tunnel, or it's going to continue this way whenever negotiations or those so-called Geneva talks are all the time ending in vain?
We are 5 years now in this turmoil in Syria. There is no Syria as we usually know it anymore.
Yeah.
But rather there is some fragments of the country. Egypt has always taken the position that we should keep the integrity of the Syrian territory. This for the Arab security. We are very clear about this point. At some stage, Egypt was sidelined by some forces, but now they come to the conclusion that Egypt is an important player in the region which they cannot ignore. This is an important part. Second, the Syrian people themselves, I know that about 4.5 million Syrians are immigrants now in the other countries, refugees, not immigrants in other countries, including Egypt, but they should be the ones who dictate what is the future of their own country. Turkey has its own interests, Iran has, the United States, Russia, of course, has its own kids. Maybe some other Arab countries have, but at the end of the day, it is the Syrian people who should decide their own future.
Great, sir. I'm here going from theory to practice.
Yes, to practice, yes.
How I can differentiate between the so-called peaceful opposition and the armed ones on the ground? Because what's going on these days, I think it's unprecedented. What's going on in Aleppo, the targets to be completely civilians, medical facilities, clinics, hospitals, and even shelters. The UN shelters even are now targets. So how do you see those developments? I mean, is this a coincidence to breach the ceasefire this way? Is this a coincidence to target civilians and medical facilities in specific?
It is not coincidence, but as soon as the different parts or the majority of the parts come to some kind of understanding that we can sit together and find a conclusion for this 5-year war, civil war, I can say, some other players try to force the stalemate so that they can have a bigger share in the rule. I do not want to say that Al-Assad is trying in some way or other to continue, But this is what he's trying in some way or
Continue
other.
what?
To continue rule of the country for the longest time possible. For the longest time possible.
I mean, Libya after Gaddafi, or Iraq after Saddam,
Yes.
or even Yemen after Ali Abdullah Saleh, with all my objections or the concerns or whatever, you name it,
Yes.
on what he is doing to be beside the Houthis, saying that the Houthis have the right to do whatever they are doing.
No.
May God bless him. Anyhow, and after those countries, after the disappearance of their rulers, they didn't become better. I mean,
No,
they're worse.
they didn't.
So even if after the disappearance of the killing of Bashar al-Assad, even,
Yes.
do you think that the Syrian problem is going to have an end?
It is not that easy. It is not that simple. Why?
Yes.
Because foreign players are having their men coming from Europe, from Kashmir, or from whatever, or from Chechen, or from Libya. They are playing now, and they're playing havoc on the Syrian arena. I think that the Syrian crisis can be settled if the foreign powers just pull their fingers out of Syria.
Amen
It is
to
as
that.
simple as that.
And if we do have the so-called, till the moment so-called,
Yes.
because there's nothing like that on the ground, joint Arab forces and a more active and positive role by the Arab League.
And mainly by Egypt.
I don't know if I should say fortunately or unfortunately.
Unfortunately, you can say unfortunately, we have to play this role because Syria has always been with Egypt, and they have been always supportive to Egypt in many instances. Now, when Syria is outside our bloc,
All the
if to say
time
that,
Egypt said that Syria's sovereignty is a first priority.
it is. It is.
Taking you to another part of the Arab nation, taking you to the Daily Star, where we read about Libya this time. Libya militia scrambled to halt Daesh advance. Commanders in Libya's third city, Misrata, rushed militiamen to a key crossroads Friday after it was overrun by Daesh in an assault in which a suicide bomber killed 2 police. The mobilization came as the UN-backed unity government in Tripoli announced the formation of new military command to take charge in the battle against the extremists. But the article is not saying who is going to be the commander-in-chief. I hope that Khalifa Bil-Qasim Haftar, the one who is behind the opposition, this is what I call an opposition, the battle against Daesh since years now, since the fall of Muammar al-Gaddafi, and he's doing his best to be accurate to cleanse his country from those terrorists. But let me once again go to the international community and the so-called, the internationally recognized government and the other. Till the moment, unfortunately, the Arabs have not learned the lesson.
Not yet.
And till the moment, there are people who thought about their personal interests and they do not think about the best interest of their nation.
Own people, yes, or own nation, yes.
Fayez Sarraj is all the time in contact with the international community, of course, including Egypt. But on the ground, what should we do? I mean, is it the intervention or once again resorting to negotiations and to what happened in Sukhayrat in Morocco, for example, or as what happened here in Egypt for more talks? What to do and what to do to take the agreements from being ink on paper to deals or agreements implemented on the ground?
I think that there should be some kind of consensus between these 3 countries, Egypt, Algeria, I said Algeria,
amen to that,
and I said Algeria and Tunisia.
Well said.
Because until this moment, Algeria, I will not say keeping aloof, but rather they are not helping. This is what I see, or what the others see. It's not helping a kind of settlement in Libya. For their own interest, the Algeria, I respect it, but still it does not help final settlement in Libya. Once the 3 neighboring countries, that is Egypt, Tunisia, and Algeria, come to some kind of consensus.
Then let's act Chad.
Exactly. Exactly. This is what we are seeing now. Algeria is not give much support to Tunisia as far as the Libyan frontier are concerned. We in Egypt have seen the exodus of some extremists, they call themselves Daesh, trying to manipulate here in Egypt, but the fingers were cut.
Yep.
Those who are coming from Syria will go to Libya. So they go to Libya, of course. They are mercenaries playing in the hands of some foreign powers.
Paid to fight.
It is as simple as that. Mercenaries are playing some in Syria. Once they come to conclusion, let's say hopefully within 1 year, I hope within 1 year from today in Syria, they will go to Libya. The ground in Libya should be scrutinized.
Which case is harder or more difficult? I mean, Libyan or Syrian?
I think Syrian.
Syrian.
Yes.
But on the long run,
yes,
Libya is very rich with oil.
It is, yes.
And colonization is going to work in a way.
It is working.
It's working, of course.
Yeah.
Till the moment, I'm saying that to ask one question. Why the international community cannot answer this question till the moment? Who is buying the Libyan oil?
It is Europe.
Europe.
Europe, of course.
So it's not going to end that soon, sir.
Not that simple.
Not that simple and not that soon.
Yes.
Going to the Gulf today, where we continue to read. Israeli air raids target 4 Hamas positions in Gaza. Israel war planes struck 4 new Hamas positions in southern Gaza Strip on Thursday as a flare-up continued to threaten 2014 ceasefire agreement. There were no immediate reports of casualties during the raids, which Palestinian security sources said struck farmlands near the border. I don't know why, when I've read this, I felt like I'm reading the vice versa, or
Yes.
the other side of the coin.
Yes.
Piece of news. We were, but it was long ago, by the way. We were listening from now and then, or reading from now and then, a rocket launched from Hamas
Yes.
on the Israeli territories without causing casualties at all.
At all.
And now we are now reading about Israeli strikes against Hamas, but no reports of casualties at all. Of course, we pray to God that no Palestinian is going to die, that no more lives
Bloodshed.
are going to be missed, or we are going to lose. But how do you see this flare-up, and if it indicates something now?
Hamas almost 6 or 7 years are in command
Of Gaza?
in Gaza, and they have not been able to find a consensus or compromise or some kind of agreement with their immediate neighbors.
Yeah.
What I mean with their immediate neighbors, I mean Israel and Egypt, of course. So they could not achieve any positive conclusions, any positive results
This
as
is
far
really
of the livelihood of the Palestinians in Gaza. And still they are in control. Same as we have seen in Saddam Hussein in Iraq. Same as we have seen in Qaddafi in Libya. He and nothing after him. This is what is happening now with Hamas. They were democratically elected. Yes, of course, that was happened. But the hopes of the Gazans, if I can say, the Palestinians, of course, did not materialize. They found it is all trying to keep in hold, and they don't care about the unity of Palestinian people. This is the best that plays in the hand of their foes or not their adversaries. It is as simple as that. Once they come to the conclusion,
it's one word. It's one statement to be accurate.
yes,
Hamas, with the gap between them and Fatah, they are giving the Israelis the excuse not to find a partner for peace. Do you want to tell me that till the moment they have not realized that?
they know it. They know it very sure. But there are priorities for them. Which comes first? I think what comes first, they want to rule, regardless of the interest of their own people.
By the way, I'm totally with them to rule, but to rule what?
To rule division.
To rule what? Where they are going to rule? Just the Gaza Strip? I mean, are they going just to be satisfied with the Gaza Strip out of Palestine?
They did not want any elections to be held again in Gaza because they know for sure that if there are free elections again in Gaza, they will lose. The Hamas people. They did not want it.
We wish the best for the Palestinians
people. Oh, yes, of course, for Palestinians,
the Palestinian people. Taking you to the World Bulletin, where we move to Yemen this time. Yemen government urges UN action over Ta'z clashes. The head of the Yemeni government delegation at troubled peace talks in Kuwait demanded action from UN mediators on Thursday over rebel shelling of besieged third city of Ta'z. Foreign Minister Abdel Malik al-Makhalfi said that the rebel, or the militants to be accurate, artillery fire was in contravention undertakings they had given when face-to-face negotiators resumed Wednesday following a 3-day without his team. Back again to the negotiating tables.
Yeah, in Kuwait.
In Kuwait this time because it's Yemen.
Yes.
By the way, I prefer to ask this question because I'd like to collect the views or the answers.
Yes.
For a very crucial, important question in my humble vision. The Houthis are militants. Call them rebels. But it was internationally recognized that they are backed by Iranians.
Of course.
Meaning that they have nothing to do with Yemeni or Yemen's best interest.
Yes.
Iran is not going to work for the best interest of Yemen.
Yes, of course.
Should we reward the Houthis to have them as part of the negotiations and to give them the right to sit with the internationally legitimate power or legitimate cabinet, legitimate leadership of Yemen? Or this is not for the best interest of the Yemenis, as the Houthis are the reason behind the bloodshed, behind the displacement of people, behind now Yemen to be considered as a national security threat to all the Red Sea states?
Yes. If we look to what happened in Sudan, South Sudan, there were rebels and the government, and they came to the conclusion they have to rule together. Mm-hmm. In the case of Yemen, Houthis are just a minority. Mm-hmm. They want to control the majority. It is as simple as that. I am not of the opinion that we should
exclude them?
Exclude them completely.
Okay.
No, it will not. It will be just for a while. Mm-hmm. But they should be given the right share. When I say the right share in Yemen, not controlling other parts of Yemen. I know there is petrol in Yemen and there is the entrance of the Red Sea in Yemen. They want to have a greater role. It is Bab al-Mandab, yes. So they want to have a greater role in their country.
With weapons, sir.
With weapons from Iran.
They refused to disarmament. They refused to put their arms down. And they refused to leave Sana'a. They seized Sana'a, the capital of Yemen, in September 2014.
Yes.
And when the mediators are asking for this to take place, I mean, not as conditions, as legitimate demands, they said no.
They are trying to press as long as they can, as far as they can, as fiercely as they can to get a better share. It is what we can say. It is a bargain. Mm-hmm. On the negotiation table on Kuwait or other parts or Geneva or elsewhere. They are trying to have a better share for themselves. When they say the word better is a very elastic word.
Yes.
It does not mean fair. Mm-hmm. If we say fair, we will not disagree about fair. But they want to have a better share for themselves. It is as simple as that, and they are playing with the Iranian support and some other parties.
Whoever going to take the bigger or the better part of the cake. Yes. Fine, we do have 2 minutes to go, but yes. I'd like to end with this. The New York Times says Turkey's PM to quit as Erdogan tightens grip. Turkish Prime Minister Ahmed Davutoglu on Thursday announced he would step down in 2 weeks as ruling party chief and premier in a shock exit set to further boost President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's growing powers. I'm not going to ask here, you have the mic.
It is as simple as that. Erdogan is trying to control everything. Mm-hmm. The prime minister was a very strong supporter of Erdogan to reach this stage, and now he is paying the price of his support to Erdogan. Erdogan is losing the support of one of his most strongest supporters in Turkey. And I don't think that Erdogan can continue like that, controlling everything in his own hands. At some time there will be an explosion. When I say explosion, it is a popular explosion, depending on what is happening on now under the counter. People are not satisfied with what is happening.
Then yes or no question,
yes,
sir.
Yes.
If there is an election or a poll in Turkey, and Erdogan is once again seeking another term as a president, do you think he is going to be elected by the Turkish people?
Until the moment, we cannot say, simply because the Turkish people are disappointed with what is happening from economic and from security point of view. Maybe he have achieved some success as far as the European Committee is concerned, as the visa and Schengen, and they are allowed.
Because of the migrants and because of the asylum seekers.
It is a price.
And because Turkey is one of the main reasons behind what's going on
happening in
the Middle East in general. Let's not forget
But by the way, he is not only the only one who is getting this. The Schengen, Kosovo is having the same rights now. Other countries are having the same rights now, and it can be at any moment, it can be withdrawn.
But for different reasons.
Yes, for different reasons, of course.
Well, as usual, I enjoy my time whenever you were here, sir, as our political analyst of the world today. So, Mr. Ayoub Mahmoud Ayoub, member of Egyptian Council for Economic Affairs and former Minister of Commercial, thank you very much for being with us, sir.
Thank you very much indeed.
And have a very good day.
All the best for you.
Well, by this we come to the end of this episode of The World Today. On behalf of Magdi Sliman, Yasser Abdul Masoud, Faryal Muhammad Abdullah, Ayat Ali Taha, Ilham Wahi, and myself, Nermeen Abdurrahman, many thanks for watching. Have a very good afternoon.